And a great Sunday afternoon. We welcome you back inside McCoy Stadium. What we call Sim City is ready for another Sim game, a short one. Today, as the Red Sox get ready to take on the Yankees 45 miles to the north, we're going to see a pair of lefties square off here at the alternate site. Steven Gonzalez, who is on the mound warming up, and Matt Hall. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. It is a football Sunday. It's a Yankees-Red Sox Sunday. U.S. Open final round. It's all happening. But first and foremost, while we lead you into all those events, we have got about 3.5 innings coming your way here today. Josh Maurer, my broadcast partner is Jim Kane. Mike Antonellis has the afternoon off. Jim is also in the director's seat. He is pulling double duty. Welcome back, Jim. Looking forward to this one.
It should be fun. We've got Steven Gonzalez first on tap. We should also see Matt Hall today, as well as Seth Blair. So a rather lengthy sim game. Haven't had one of those in a few days.
Here comes one of our normal leadoff hitters, and it's Jaren Duran. He has so often over the last couple of weeks been the first man in the first batting group. So lefty versus lefty. Gonzalez, since he was designated for assignment, has actually thrown the ball very well here at the alternate site. But he bounced that one in, and that's how we get things going. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're on Facebook Live or watching through the Periscope app on Twitter, we appreciate you being with us. 1-1. Boy, there's a nip in the air, isn't there, Jim? It's cold this morning. It was in the 40s when we woke up, but it's getting a little bit more manageable for these guys. Temperatures are getting into the upper 50s as we get going, and Steven Gonzalez is going with the short sleeves. He's saying, I don't care about a little chill in the air. 1-1. Tried his curveball and missed. Ball 2.
I'm normally one of those guys that holds off as long as possible. Like yesterday, I threw the shorts on with the quarter zip, but today it was just too cold. Had to go with the jeans.
I think we can say unequivocally this is the coldest day at Sim City. Lined in the left center, we don't have any outfielders, but I don't think anybody would have caught that. Let's check the ruling. It should be a double, I believe. Yes, indeed. Showing that opposite field power, Jaren Duran is given a two-base hit. That's how we get things going.
And if he can continue this approach on his path to the big leagues and throughout his career, that's what's going to separate him, and that's what's going to get him a big league job. I mean, it's just so impressive to watch. The opposite field power, that ball just took off. I know it's a bit of a breezy day here. That may have aided that, but nonetheless, he still has that pop.
No outfielders this afternoon. You may have heard that Cesar Puello is now in the Major League roster for the Boston Red Sox. He's another proud graduate of the taxi squad. Marcus Wilson takes the curveball for ball 1. We do have a full infield. And now we're going to have an umpire. Look who's coming out. You'll see him in a second. There he is, Bruce Crabb. One batter late, Crabby. Better late than never, right? Maybe you had to put on an extra pair of undercovering, right?
I don't blame him.
1-0 on Marcus Wilson, a late entrance to the player pool this year for the Red Sox. Another curveball, and that's going to slice foul. You know, Jim, we talk about this often, that certain days, certain pitchers are told to work on certain things, and it appears today that Gonzalez is being told to work on his curveball, right? Because the fastball's been great over his last few outings.
That's been the separator for him. He's gotten a ton of swings and misses on that fastball, but so far a heavy diet of breaking balls, and he's had Wilson out on his front foot here early.
Marcus Wilson standing in shadow. Steven Gonzalez throwing out of the daylight. Well, Gonzalez doesn't want Jaren Duran to steal third base. He's certainly more than capable of doing so, especially with a right-handed hitter in the box. And now we have an outfielder. 2-1 the count. There's a fastball. It's a catcher who's out there. It might be Johnny Pareda.
Might be Juan Centeno, too. Hard to tell.
Just helping out. Standing next to that safety cone in center field. Damage caused to the outfield grass, as we talked about yesterday, by one of the animals that was creeping in at McCoy Stadium. 2-2 as that fastball tied up Wilson, even when he is not locating in the strike zone. The pitch from Gonzalez, which is not overpowering in velocity, but it generates so many awkward swings.
And we talked about it the last time that he pitched, Josh. I think he hides the ball extremely well. I think he tucks it behind him on that left side, and it just sort of jumps at these hitters.
2-2. Nobody out as we get going in today's sim game. There's the fastball, and he got him looking outside black. Right at the knees as well. Perfect pitch. We've seen a lot of strikeouts recently from Steven Gonzalez, the former high draft choice of the Minnesota Twins.
Well, it's a guy who has had a decorated minor league career. We've talked about it a lot. Just has not had that success in his short time in the big leagues, and looks like we're going to get another outfielder here.
There goes Duran. The throw to third. Not in time. I told you he could steal third base, Jim. And he stole it on Pareda, who's the catcher. Although he had a running jump against Gonzalez, too. Jaren also stole the base yesterday.
All the tools on display for Duran.
I'll bring the infield in here. Potts is the one who took that throw. He's playing third base. Hudson Potts. Chatham at short. Jose Peraza is the hitter. That's Nick York playing second base, by the way. Give you a look at the newcomer, the youngster, 18 years old. Played in his first sim game yesterday, did York, and he got a hit. He also walked. Akami is at first. Pareda catching, which means I think you were right. Centeno is the catcher in the outfield. Blocked by Pareda. And now Jason Rosario is the man who went out to center. So it seems like with every passing hitter in the inning, the defense grows for Gonzalez.
The only fielder we're missing is a right fielder.
Frustrating short season for Jose Peraza. You know the story. Opening day second baseman for the Red Sox. Another curveball. That was a good one. 2-2 the count. Gonzalez, when he was coming up in the Twins organization, actually pitched quite a bit against the Pawtucket Red Sox right in this park when he was with Rochester. We've talked about that. He had some good outings here. Fastball popped him up. This won't score. Duran, and Akami takes care of the second out. You know what they say, Jim, when you have the runner at third and the infield in, you're pitching for the punch out or the pop-up. He got the latter.
He sure did. Been impressed so far with Gonzalez. Duran put a good swing to begin the ball game, but he has kept these hitters off balance here early.
So 2 out, infield back to normal depth, and here comes Tristan Casas. One of the most impressive hitters we've seen in Sim City. He swings at the curveball, and it gets past Pareda. Boy, that's unlucky there for Gonzalez, and we'll have a run in the top of the first inning. Jaren Duran scampers home. Jim, you had a better look at it. You're in the director's chair. Did that bounce?
I don't think it did. I think Pareda just flat out missed it. Yeah, it did not bounce at all. Wonder maybe if the swing of Casas was in the eyesight of Pareda there, but strange play, but it leads to a run.
Scoring decision coming in. Pass ball. Unearned run for the moment. Another off-speed pitch. So this is what goes on. We've heard this from the pitching coach here, Paul Abbott, one of the coordinators, Sean Haviland. They say that in an outing, they say to these pitchers some days, all right, we want you to work on this pitch, executing this part of your game plan. You can almost take away some of their best offerings to work on the other secondary stuff, and that appears to be what Gonzalez is doing. He spikes that one into Casas.
And that helps from a hitting perspective, too, because you can then eliminate a certain pitch when you're at bat and just try to look for whether it's just a fastball or just a breaking ball and go from there.
See if we can show. Oh, we missed it. In left field, Juan Centeno was just doing jumping jacks. Ball 3. It's 3-1 on Casas.
He was just doing some mummy jacks, trying to stay warm. He's got the short sleeves under the jersey on this chilly day.
I appreciate that the extra catchers here at the taxi squad, they'll help out play the outfield. Full count. Mary challenged him with a fastball.
And Casas was late on it. And that goes to the sneakiness of this fastball from Gonzalez. Just sort of sneaks up on these hitters.
Steven Gonzalez, 26. California guy. Payoff is fouled back on another challenge fastball. Grew up in San Diego, did Gonzalez. Wouldn't that be a nice spot to be here today? I mean, I'm happy to be in the Ocean State. When you wake up and there's a chill in the air, I always have a thought like, San Diego sounds good right about now.
Yeah, it does.
Another 3-2. Got him with that fastball. Jim, you're so right. The deception and the way that pitch just jumps on the hitters. He gets so many swing throughs. And that is how the first inning comes to an end. Gonzalez gets 2 strikeouts. He allows what we'll deem an unearned run. So Matt Hall, his counterpart, going to the mound as we've completed a half an inning here. Sunday Sim Game. Josh Mauer, Jim Kane, thanking you for joining us. Bill Wanless has made his way up to the press box. Great head of PR for the Pawtucket Red Sox, is also the cameraman du jour. Operating the high home, thanks to Joe Jacobs for overseeing everything here today in the press box. From Paw Sox Productions. Everything that you see when we do these broadcasts is presented by our partners at Bank of America. No two ways around it, Jim, that it's been a frustrating first year in the Red Sox organization for this 27-year-old Matt Hall. Been up and down, back and forth between the Red Sox and this taxi squad since July. He's gotten into 4 major league games. He has allowed 18 runs in 8 2/3 innings.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys on this Red Sox pitching staff that have similar numbers, unfortunately, and a lot of it having to do with, a couple of different things. First, falling behind late in games, injury-related too, so you're throwing guys in pinches here, and they're going up against teams that they frankly aren't really set up for success against. That's happened with Matt Hall against the Yankees a couple of times, so he's been in some unfortunate situations, but still, he's one of these guys that's a part of that rotating shuttle here and getting his big league opportunities.
You mean the Merlone shuttle? They used to
I sure do.
Pawtucket to Boston and back. Matt Hall out of Missouri State. Drafted by the Tigers, pitched a lot with the Tigers in the big leagues the previous couple of years. And trying to get things right as the season comes to an end, so they've sent him back here. It's been over a week since he's pitched. Davey Grullon, a catcher first in this batting group. That's a strike, I believe. Bruce Crabb has vacated the premises again. I'll say strike 1. And an almost full defense behind Hall. 3 infielders, 3 outfielders. 1-1. Jeter Downs emerges. He takes over at the shortstop spot. Jose Peraza to second. Tristan Casas to first. And Jet Bandy is the battery mate for Matt Hall. 1-2. I'm calling that a strike. In left field, Juan Centeno remains. He has done his calisthenics. He's all good.
He's all warmed up.
Yeah. 2-2. Jaren Duran to center. Marcus Wilson to right field. So Marcus strike out in the top of the inning against Gonzalez. Matt Hall trying to work on some things, of course, Jim, after all those struggles because of the breaking ball, and Grullon stays alive. I think this last week is very interesting at the alternate site. The guys who are still here, you figure, have their minds starting to drift a little bit towards going home, getting out of the kind of semi-bubble that's been set up. Still 2-2. Davey Grullon putting a long plate appearance together. So you wonder, what are the attitudes going to be here in these final few sim games that we have? I think it's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting because normally when you see that in a regular season, guys are swinging early in counts, trying to get in and trying to get out as quick as they possibly can. But obviously, as we know, this is a much different situation.
3-2. High fastball there from Matt Hall. If you look at his big league numbers, mentioned those 18 runs allowed in under 9 innings. He walked 10. So more than a walk per inning. So command was an issue. Also 17 hits. Nothing really went all that well, to be frank. And he gets a chase. Grullon up and out of the zone. Helps him out. Strike 3.
Well, good sequence there from Matt Hall in his first at-bat. Had some breaking balls down in the zone. Had some fastballs in at the knees, too. And then on the 3-2 pitch, he goes up and away. And he gets Grullon to chase, changing the eye level of the batter.
Davey Grullon is known as a free swinger, and that's what you just saw there. Now Josh Ockamy, left-handed hitter against the southpaw. Acamy's had a great week, don't you think, Jim? We saw his 450-foot almost home run that cleared the center field building here at McCoy the other day. Got a hit yesterday against Brian Mata.
And it's good to see, too. I mean, this is a guy who has a consistent approach day in and day out. He's always working counts. We call him the king of the full count. But it's nice to see the results, too. He's squaring up some balls. Had a nice opposite field single here yesterday. So he's using the whole field, and he's putting some good at-bats together.
2-1, I believe. Bruce Crabb, I found him. He's talking to Billy McMillan. Those two ensconced in conversation. Overshift on against Ockamy with the 3 infielders. 2-2. The breaking pitch from Hall. Centeno's back to his jumping jacks between pitches in left field. I'm enjoying watching that. Nobody on the left side of the infield. And he hits it into right. Marcus Wilson, Jaren Duran converge, and it's Duran to take charge. 2 out for Hall.
Well, you can hear the wind on our crowd mic. That just goes to show how breezy it is today here at McCoy. And the wind playing with that fly ball, Duran sort of circling around it into the gap, and he made the catch just below the waist. You throw the sun in there, too, and that's a tough combo for any outfielder.
Good shot there of the wind whipping through the trees past the McCoy Stadium premises. Hudson Potts. This is a good matchup for Potts. What do we think? Ball or strike on that? That was close.
It was pretty close.
We miss you, Bruce Crabb. We from the broadcasters, request cordially that you go back behind the mound. 1-1, I guess. There are very many numbers of things that those two could be talking about.
I think they're talking about their fantasy teams today.
It could be right. Who do I start at wide receiver 3? 2-1. Krabby might be asking Billy who he's got in the U.S. Open final round later.
It's probably that.
Is 21-year-old Matthew Wolff going to hold off Bryson DeChambeau? Billy's got his opinion. 2 out, Potts, big bopper. 2-2. Good curveball. Yeah, you can hear that wind. This feels like football weather.
Sure does.
Well, Hall trying to start his day with a 1-2-3. Potts stays alive. Hey, we got a newcomer joining the conversation at third base. Here comes Rich Gedman. He wants to give his opinion on fantasy football starting lineups.
This is where the cool kids are hanging out today.
Yeah, I guess. How do we get in that?
Oh, boy. It take a lot.
Yep. Into right center field. That one carrying well. Wilson has it slice over and in front of the track, able to make the grab. The wind, I think, affected that one as well. You're right, Jim. It's playing tricks. Well, we've only had one base runner through the first inning here today, as it'll be Steven Gonzalez going back to work. Let us take this moment to pause and hear some words from Bank of America.
We are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, cracked. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. There's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
Thanks to Bank of America for their sponsorship of Red Sox Taxi Squad Baseball. Josh and Jim here today, and we've got one run. It was scored on a pass ball. Second inning coming up. Here's the schedule for pitching today. Gonzalez, just one more half inning. Matt Hall would go 3, and then we'll see Seth Blair later on. We like watching Seth pitch. He'll go 2. So 3.5 total. Jim, it's brought to my attention, and this is a good point that Bill Wanless, who knows these things very well, he just brought up to me that this is probably the latest date we've ever had any kind of baseball game, with pro players anyway, played in this ballpark.
And I guarantee you that's spot on, because Bill is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to Paw Sox knowledge, so he would know.
If there had been a Game 5 in the Governor's Cup International League Championship Series, that would have been yesterday. So you would have been, as we get into later September, the minor league season, even if you get as far as you can in the championship round, that would be over now. The Paw Sox have done that over the years. They've made it that far, but never quite this long. So when you talk about the cold September chill in New England, we've never experienced it with real baseball players, pro players anyway.
And these guys, too, a lot of these guys are minor leaguers. They're probably not used to playing baseball this late in September.
Jeter Downs swings through the fastball. Gonzalez starting to unleash that now. Speaking of pro players, we're about 35 minutes from the Red Sox and the Yankees getting going in the finale of their season series. Are the Yankees going to do a complete sweep of the Red Sox? That's what they're trying to do, not only this weekend but the whole season. Red Sox have lost 12 in a row to the Bronx Bombers. 0-2.
Don't you think they would do everything they could to try to win this game? I think that if I were a player and I would look at it and say, oh, we went 0-10 against the Yankees this season, that's a tough pill to swallow. At least if he got one, that would ease the blow a little bit, but no wins is tough.
Got him swinging. I'm telling you what, that fastball is lethal from Gonzalez. Foul tipped by Downs, but Pareda held on, and another strikeout for Steven is his 3rd.
And it was in a great spot, too. It was down and away from Jeter Downs. Not much you can really do with that pitch besides try to spoil it, and that's the type of swing that Downs just produced, but he foul tipped it right into the glove. That's a great pitch.
Now Jed Bandy's first at-bat of the day starts with a foul ball. Bandy is the catcher right now for Matt Hall on the bottom halves of the innings. Well, in the game today at Fenway, there's intrigue, not only for the Red Sox finally trying to get one and only one win against New York this year, but we got Tanner Houck. Tanner Houck making his 2nd major league start. First at Fenway Park, and he'll do it against the hottest team in baseball.
I know he's excited for the opportunity to pitch at Fenway.
Bandy stays alive.
It won't be in front of fans, but still to pitch on the mound at Fenway against the Yankees, that's pretty special. And if you think about it, too, his first 2 starts, I mean, they aren't cookies. You're going against the Miami Marlins, a team in the thick of the playoff race, and then your second start, oh, it's just the New York Yankees. Doesn't get much tougher than that.
And the Yankees have won 10 in a row. Got him swinging. That time goes to the secondary stuff. Gonzalez has 4 strikeouts of the 5 outs that he's recorded.
And that looked like one of those swings from Jet Bandy that was predetermined. And he's thought, all right, I'm going to swing at this pitch no matter where it is. And he was fooled on that pitch in the dirt. That's 4 strikeouts now for Gonzalez.
This is the only man who's reached base against him. It's Jaren Duran. I mentioned this earlier. Gonzalez was designated by the Red Sox now about 4 weeks ago. Cleared waivers. In fact, that's how Boston had gotten him earlier this year. They got him off of a waiver claim. But then they needed the 40-man spot, took him off. And to us, and I think to his coaches too, it's become apparent that he's been pitching like a different guy ever since that 2-week layoff when he cleared waivers. 1-1.
I don't think there's any question about it. It's like he found something during that layoff, which is interesting because he wasn't under the eye of any of the coaches or the staff. Wonder if maybe he went back and watched some of his outings here at Sim City and found something.
Big fastball. Oh, they called the first pitch a strike. I didn't know that. So that is a 3-pitch strikeout, and it is the 5th for Gonzalez. They'll give him a 4th out potentially here in the inning.
A lot of late swings on this fastball from Gonzalez. I'm curious to see what exactly he's throwing as far as velocity goes. I can't imagine he's lighting up the gun. We know that, but still would just be curious to have a barometer.
I'll work on that for you, buddy. So 3 outs, none on, and a 4th hitter, strike 1 on Marcus Wilson.
I mean, because let's face it, he's not a Aroldis Chapman firing 100 miles an hour, but with the swings that he's generating today, that's what it looks like.
0-1 to the curveball. And remember, the first few batters, he was throwing a ton of those. And when he went back to that fastball is when he started really dominating here today. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Might have been his best curveball of the day. Had a lot of bite on it. Really snapped that thing off.
By the way, nice to have the umpire back behind the pitcher. Bruce Crabb, Billy McMillan, Rich Gedman's conversation has concluded. 2-2. If Gonzalez strikes out Wilson, he'll get 7 outs, and 6 of them will be strikeouts. This is his last scheduled inning here. That's an if he can do it. The 2-2. Marcus stays alive. Get the readings for you, Jim. 92 to 94.
Wow.
Is the average fastball velocity here this afternoon for Steven Gonzalez. That's pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah, touching 94. There it is, strikeout number 6. 7 outs in 2 innings pitched, and 6 of them come via the K for Steven Gonzalez. How about the day for that man? One of the last times we'll see him. Who knows, maybe the last time we see him here in Pawtucket, and that was a really wonderful way to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that is his last outing here at Sim City, what a way to go out. I mean, he was super sharp. And it's not just the fastball, it's the curveball, too. How impressive is that pitch, Ben? He snapped off a couple of good benders in that at-bat to Marcus Wilson. He's got both of those pitches working here today. I mean, it's just so impressive to watch. It's got to be something maybe about the mound, too, because you alluded to it earlier, Josh, and we had talked about it in his previous starts. He loves pitching here at McCoy. His numbers when he was with Rochester were incredible when he pitched here at McCoy against the Paw Sox.
So now it's Matt Hall coming back for his second inning of work. He had a very quick and easy 1-2-3 first. Today at Fenway, by the way, Tanner Houck's going to be opposed by one of the Yankees' top young pitching, I guess, prospects, although he's spent a decent amount of time in their rotation in this shortened season. It's Davy Garcia. Houck, and that could have been a matchup that we would have seen here at McCoy last year, too, in the International League.
Yeah, we sure would have. That would have been a prime pitching matchup, but that should be a lot of fun today at Fenway. Garcia is a super talented prospect, a guy who it would have been nice to see him pitch here at McCoy, but getting the chance at the big league level, and that's somebody the Yankees are really high on, and rightfully so.
Remember watching Bobby Dahlbeck hit a home run off of Davy Garcia here last year. Here comes Nick York. his second ever sim game, his third ever plate appearance. Facing a guy with a lot of big league time in Matt Hall. Well, it didn't bother him seeing velocity yesterday. He singled off of a guy who can throw 98, 99 in Brian Mata. Then he later walked against Robinson Layer, his first appearance back here, back from the big leagues. Nick York, 18 years old, fresh off of being drafted right out of high school just a couple of months ago. 1-1.
And then after that walk that he drew against Layer, on the first pitch to the next batter, Josh Akame, York got too big of a secondary lead, and Grullon backpicked him at first.
Yep.
I think that just goes to show how quickly the game moves at this level. I mean, he's 18 years old. This is all part of the learning curve for him. But how about that? I mean, even a guy like Grullon, to notice out of the corner of his eye, with the lefty in the box, that York just got too much of a secondary lead for him to throw down. I mean, that's the level that York has to get to, and it's going to take some time. He's still, 18 years old, so he's got a long way to go. But I think it's all just part of the experience here for him.
Yep. Well, that's why he's here, to learn.
Exactly.
It's either 2-2 or 3-1. The umpire has left again. I have a theory. It's fouled back, so it's either 2-2 or 3-2. I wonder if Matt Hall has requested, or Paul Abbott, the pitching coach, has requested that Bruce Crabb not umpire on the field when Matt Hall is pitching, for whatever reason.
Interesting theory.
I don't know why else this would have happened again.
I give it some credence.
Lined in the left center field, and that's Nick York hitting a gapper. Extra bases for the newcomer York. He's into second with a double. He got a breaking ball from Matt Hall, and he ripped it. And he still has not made an out.
That's terrific. How about that? There was a bit of a hanging breaking ball that time from Matt Hall, but how about the first 3 at-bats for Nick York here at SimCity? The first one against Brian Mata, the top pitching prospect in the system. Then you go up against a guy with big league experience in Robinson Layer. Now another guy who's pitched in the big leagues at Matt Hall, and what do? Oh, you just rip a double off him.
Pareda takes it in the dirt. First base runner off of Hall, and it's the kid.
I really just like his swing so far. Again, it's a very, very small sample size, like we said yesterday, Josh, but he's got a short, compact line drive swing, and it was on full display there as he found the gap.
1-0 on Pareda. There's a good curveball. I'll call that a strike. Just think about what Nick York has gone through in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months. He has his senior year of high school cut short by the pandemic. He still gets drafted first round, which actually surprised a lot of the pundits. 17th overall to the Red Sox. On those mock draft boards, there were very few, if any, who had him going that high. Then he sits around, he signs his contract. I don't know if he thought he'd ever get to come to the alternate training site, but he does in the final week. 2-2.
See him laughing there, sharing a laugh with Jeter Downs.
You would think, Jim, that he'll be part of the instructional camp the Red Sox are putting on starting the end of the month. Pareda to third base, foul. Jet Bandy, the catcher, is the one who emphatically waved that as a foul ball.
And look at the third baseman, Juan Centeno.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, defensive update. Centeno has moved from left to third. If you're scoring at home, good luck. Jeter Downs at short. Peraza second. Casas at first. Marcus Wilson has moved from right to left field. And steady Eddie Jaren Duran. He knows center field here as well as anybody. 2-2. Got him. That was a good curveball. Bandy knew it bounced. Throw down to complete the strikeout. 1 out. Jason Rosario, he has impressed since he's come here. Part of the Mitch Moreland deal, coming back from the Padres. Rosario hits the ball very well to the opposite field. Jim, you've commented on that quite a bit this week. Strike, 0-1.
I think he is fitting the scouting report and all the articles and stories about him when we first saw that he was acquired by the Red Sox. It's a guy who very high contact rate, has a great eye at the plate as he spoils one there. I mean, I just like his approach to the plate too. Very similar to Nick York in that you've got a short, compact swing that's not really built for power just yet. He is still very young, but he's got an excellent approach and an excellent eye.
Looks like a good outfielder too.
No question. He has a strong arm as well. We saw it. They were doing an infield-outfield session before the game started, and he made some strong throws in from center.
Behind a couple of strikes. Got him looking. Fastball dots the outside black. He pats the catcher Bandy on the helmet as he goes back to the dugout. 2 strikeouts in a row after the York double.
Tell you what, it didn't make me look all that good in that at-bat, but hey, I give Matt Hall all the credit.
You know, I wonder if the lack of an umpire out there with Hall on the mound is part of whatever the mental aspect of what they've asked Matt Hall to work on, it, having been sent back from the big leagues this last time. You know, just concentrate, doing what you can control. Don't worry about the results. Don't worry about what an umpire says. Who knows? But it does, to me, seem obvious that it's intentional that the umpire leaves the field when he pitches right now.
And he's got a full infield behind him and 2 outfielders out there. So it seems like they're trying to make it as real game-ish as possible.
0-1 to Chatham. 0-2. He's throwing a lot of strikes all of a sudden.
It's been a good second inning for him. You know, I had wondered, going back to the top half with Gonzalez with all the strikeouts, if the shadows maybe had played a role as they're starting to creep out in front of the plate. But I don't think they're at the point yet where it would make a difference if you're a hitter, because where they are now, it's not like you're making up your mind that late. You know, you got to make up your mind pretty early on if you're going to swing or not. You can kind of see him at the bottom of the screen there. By the time the ball gets to where the shadows are, that ball's going to end up in the glove, and you're going to be way behind.
Well, that was way behind. It was pretty impressive that Chatham hit it.
Yeah, it was.
1-2. Count holds, 2 out. York at second. The bottom of our second inning today. We were, if you're going by the schedule that has been provided to us, expecting Seth Blair to pitch when we go to the third, but I haven't seen him warm up. Takes the breaking ball, 2-2. So we'll see. Maybe Seth Blair had to go set his fantasy football lineup for the afternoon.
It's 12:40, getting ready for those 1 o'clock kicks.
On the ground to short. Charging in, Jeter Downs. You know, it was interesting. It took him a little while to get the ball out of his glove, but he still had time to get C.J. Chatham at first base. And after the York double, the next 3 are retired. Only 1 base runner through 2 innings allowed by Matt Hall. That was also the case for Steven Gonzalez. And here comes Seth Blair. He warmed up somewhere.
It definitely was not in the bullpen.
I kept looking out there, Jim. I didn't see it. Either that or he's just going to do his full warm-up from the game mound, which is also possible if they didn't have an extra bullpen catcher available, maybe. So we might see a longer than usual warm-up here from Blair. He had to go grab his rosin bag. That's why he vacated for a moment. COVID protocols, Jim. Everybody has to have their own rosin bag.
You know, and speaking of those protocols, I was thinking about this on the way in, Josh. I think you have to commend the entire staff here, the players, the coaches, everybody. You know, there haven't been any outbreaks. We heard yesterday the Milwaukee Brewers at their alternate site had a bit of an outbreak and they had to shut some things down. And some other teams have had outbreaks at their alternate site. Fortunately, that has not been the case here with the Red Sox. So I give the players, the coaches, everybody involved so much credit, because it has not been an easy thing to do, because a lot of these guys, they go to the ballpark, then they go back to their hotel, and they don't leave, and they frankly don't get to do a whole heck of a lot. So kudos to them for making it all the way through without any big, hiccups during this process.
Well, and I echo those sentiments, and that's also back to the point that I was making earlier about how you would not fault any of these guys especially the ones who have been here since the middle of July, if now that we're in the final week of the taxi squad, if their mind starts to wander a little bit, you start thinking about getting to go home, getting to do anything other than just, as you said, be in a hotel or be at McCoy Stadium.
Yeah, and I know a lot of these guys, Billy McMillan, probably a guy who's itching to get back home and see his family back in South Carolina. I know hasn't been an easy thing for him or a lot of these guys who can't see their families and their kids. It's tough.
So Blair in his warm-ups, he will have a full infield. Potts at third, Chatham to short. Nick York playing second base. I like Nick York's look with the high socks. The old school for a very young guy, 18.
Very, traditional look, isn't it?
Yeah.
He looks like a ball player.
Akami at first, and Grullon is going to be the catcher for Blair. We do have an outfielder. We've got one. Jason Rosario is in center. Juan Centeno has been Mr. Everything today. He's played left, he's played third. I'm sure he's caught some bullpens earlier, and now for the first time, they'll let him hit. Give that man a bat.
He's earned it.
At the moment, the guy up with the big league team as the extra catcher with the big league taxi squad is Conor Wong. That was Davey Grullon throughout that trip down in Florida and Miami and Tampa. It's been a nice reward for the catchers. Something that I got to ask Ben Crockett about. He said, well, we reward them, yes, but also we need extra catchers up with the big league team. So they take one of the guys from here at every series. 0-2. Centeno did it very early. I think he was the first guy right at the beginning of the season in July.
Conor Wong has spent a lot of time with the Red Sox.
I don't think that's by accident.
No, not at all.
Conor Wong, one of the big pieces of the Mookie Betts deal, if you're not familiar. Well, Seth Blair, impressive stuff. I think with those shadows and that three-quarter arm slot that he throws from Jim right now, with his stuff is going to be very tough to hit. If he locates today, he could be dominant over his 2 innings. That's what's on the schedule for him. Sean Haviland spoke to the media about Blair the other day. He talked about that deception. Nice piece of hitting, Centeno. How about that? Might have broken his bat and dumps in a single.
Definitely sounded like a broken bat. Just sort of served it into shallow left. Right off the end of the bat. Almost like an Ichiro Suzuki-esque swing. Just found some grass.
We just had a first. That was the first time Juan Centeno and Ichiro have ever been mentioned in the same sentence.
You're welcome, Juan.
Yeah. I like it, Jim.
Well, it wasn't it? Ichiro used to do that all the time back in his day.
Yeah, just like hitting a lob with a tennis racket. Casas takes ball 1 from Blair. I say this every time he pitches, I feel like. When Blair locates with that fastball, he is really tough. 2-0, though. Billy McMillan maybe got an early start to his Sunday afternoon. He's left, and now Bruce Crabb has taken over, I guess, the managing duties for the final inning and a half of the schedule here today. Crabby is the one at third base. So again, we're umpireless behind the mound. I don't know, strike. What do you think, Jim?
I think that may have been a ball. I think it was a little too far inside.
All right, we'll go 3-0 on Casas. So again, it's command for Seth Blair. Blair has been working pretty much every other day here the last couple of weeks at the alternate site. He's one of the few true relievers left. Nope, I guess you were wrong, Jim. It must
I guess
have
I was wrong.
3-1.
It's not the first time.
You know, the relievers that were here, so many of them have gotten an opportunity to pitch for Boston over the last month. I think you and I and Mike, we kind of hope that Seth Blair would have gotten a shot.
As
Maybe
well
still
as
could.
Caleb Simpson at those two.
Oh, man, hit him. Seth Blair just patted his chest as if to say, my fault. Tristan Casas is going to get first base. It would have been ball 4 anyway.
Well, if there's a spot to get hit, that's one of the few ones you probably want to get hit if you're Tristan Casas. He is a big boy and probably got the meat of that leg. I'm sure he'll still feel it tomorrow, but it's better than getting hit down near the feet or up near the fingers or the hands.
2 on, none out. Peraza takes ball 1. Blair, a guy who was out of baseball for almost 5 full years. Former first-round pick of the Cardinals, has made his way back. First year, signed by the Red Sox after this alternate site had even begun. And at times he's been dazzling, and at times somewhat more ordinary. Again, a lot of it depends on location. 1-1. Into left center field. There's no left fielder. It's a judgment call. They're going to say that's a gapper. So that'll allow Centeno to score our second run of the day. And it's an RBI double for Jose Peraza. I think even had there been a left fielder, I agree, that would have been a tough ball to get to.
Oh, this is a good piece of hitting by Peraza, and he needed that too. You know, when he cooled off with the Red Sox, he didn't hit too many balls all that hard. At that time, he squared one up in the zone and found the gap. Hopefully he can get going here and end this on a high note.
Jeter Downs takes a strike. Infield in. Second and third, nobody out. And a run in. Jeter struck out when he faced Gonzalez. That's his only other at-bat here this afternoon. Gonzalez, by the way, dazzled. 0-2 here. Went to the slider, did Blair. Gonzalez had 8 batters faced. Got 7 of them out, and 6 of them were strikeouts.
Can't do much better than that.
First 3 have reached against Blair. It's 0-2. Slider got him looking. Grullon, the catcher, made the call. Here's the strikeout. 1 away, and Billy McMillan is back, by the way. He's talking at third base right now to the base runner over there, Casas.
It's like you've got a couple of third base coaches here with Billy and Krabby there.
I think Krabby may have just asked Billy, do you want me to go back out to the mound? Jet Bandy bats. The infield remains in with 1 out. Hello. And a jackknife back out of the way of ball 1. Well, this is as much coaching turnover as we've had in any of the sim games. Sunday fun day. Playing baseball here at this venerable yard on the 20th of September. 1-0. One week left in the Major League season, too, as of today. And we're going to see how long they do continue to keep this camp going, this alternate site. The original schedule that the Red Sox had put together had next Saturday being the final day here, the 26th. But I think that could be up for debate. 2-1. The Red Sox will end the year on the road, so that means they probably take a few more guys with them on the final road trip, which would deplete the stock here. Bandy down to a knee on the follow-through, 2-2. So I don't know. Unfortunately, you and I don't get the opportunity to converse with the coaches and the players every day as we would during a normal minor league season. I'm guessing that it's a fluid situation, how long these guys are actually going to be working out here.
It's fluid from day to day. Even yesterday, we didn't know if we'd have a game today, and here we are.
Bandy stays alive. He struck out against Gonzalez in his only at-bat as well. We do know that tomorrow is an off day scheduled, and to be observed unless something late breaking changes. So no sim action here for you tomorrow. Glad you could be with us today. Don't worry, you still got about 10 minutes before the NFL kicks off. Ouch. Got Grullon right in the mask. Bandy knows how that friendly fire feels. You can keep your Facebook Live or Periscope stream exclusively on for us for 10 minutes, and then just keep us on in the background if you want to put on the football. We'll allow it. Or the Red Sox. 3-2 on Bandy, who checked. Red Sox started 107, so they are 14 minutes from now.
Yeah, you've got a few extra minutes with the Red Sox game. Patriots don't play until 8:20. They're on Sunday Night Football out in Seattle.
And then, of course, one of the great things about how we've broadcast these games is that you can watch it any time.
You can.
I mean, you might be watching us and it's Monday. 3-2, got him swinging. Nice pitch by Seth Blair. Working with the infield in, he gets back-to-back punch-outs. Now everybody can go back to regular depth behind him.
I mean, that's just a pitch that is hard to pick up. When he's got that slider working, it's a very hard pitch to make contact on, and you just saw the weak wave there from Bandy.
And roll over the inning. So 3 reached, 1 scored on a Peraza double, and then a couple of strikeouts. Makes Seth Blair feel a little bit better. He's having a conversation there with Grullon, his catcher. 1 more inning scheduled today. Matt Hall has been very sharp. He's back to work. I wonder if he's going to have any defenders.
That's a great point.
Who you got tonight, Jim? Patriots at Seahawks, Sunday Night Football. You have your finger on the pulse of everything going on with the Patriots, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, look at this. Well, look what we've done to preview that game here on our scoreboard. I think that shows how the operators of everything here in the press box feel about it. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think the Patriots are catching a huge break out in Seattle that they won't be playing in front of fans. That is usually one of, if not the loudest stadium in the league. So that is a big neutralizer for New England. And, I wonder how the game plan changes now going up against a Seattle defense that's not the Legion of Boom anymore, but you've still got some of those leftovers, and you've also got a reinforcement in Jamal Adams. So it'll be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a great game, but I ultimately give the nod to Seattle and Russell Wilson. He is on another level.
Had a historic performance in their opening win in Atlanta last weekend, did Russ? Anyway, NFL Sunday, it's just a great time to be a sports fan. Just everything going on all at once. Got all 4 major sports. Congrats to your Celtics last night, getting a win on the board in that Eastern Conference Final Series in the bubble.
Would have been a tough 3 days if they had if they had lost that game. I mean, just the mental toll. It goes both ways, right? And we were talking about it before we came on the air. If they had lost, you're looking at it, especially after the events of, Game 2 and the altercation in the locker room and the conversations thereafter. You look at a 3-0 deficit and in the bubble, and what a mental toll that would be. But now that you win and you don't play again until Wednesday, it's almost like you're resetting the whole series with this break.
Yep.
Makes the challenge of coming back all the less daunting.
All right, here we go. Final inning today. Matt Hall has been good. 2 scoreless. Hudson Potts loops one. Duran coming on. Cannot get it. Base hit on the first pitch for Hudson Potts. The only other base runner off of Hall was Nick York. Second inning in a row, though, against him. The leadoff man is aboard.
Potts not wasting any time there. Inside out swing that he just dumps into right center field. That's a nice piece of hitting.
Not only are there defenders, there's almost a full defense behind Hall again. Centeno, though, is playing third base. And he'll be the only man on the left side here in an overshift. Zakami comes up. Jeter Downs, the shortstop. Peraza at second, Casas at first. You heard from Duran in center. And Marcus Wilson in left. Jet Bandy, all 3 innings, has been Matt Hall's catcher.
Juan Centeno making a bid to play every position in this short sim game.
Yeah, you counting him at shortstop right now? Does that count? Close play. Pick off there with Hudson Potts sliding under Casas' tag. Centeno's got that big glove. Almost looks like a catcher's or a first baseman's mitt. We'll show it to you after the pitch. 1-1 on Akami.
It's almost like an outfielder's glove.
Yeah.
It's so big.
Well, and also maybe it looks bigger because he's just not a big guy.
That too.
Compact, he's built like a catcher, isn't he?
That's a great point.
2-1. Josh Mauer, Jim Kane today. We'll look forward to being back with you hopefully on Tuesday, starting our final week of Sim Game broadcasts after the day off scheduled for Monday, and Mike should be back with us. We are getting a little wistful as we count down towards the end of our time doing this. It's been a lot of fun. 3-1. And frankly, Jim, we talked about how this is the latest probably there's ever been pro baseball played here in this park. We're counting down any baseball here. Mr. Full Count Akami, of course, gets the count full.
And that's significant too.
Yeah. It is not lost on any of us that there was a good chance there couldn't have been any play here on this field throughout the summer, and there has been because of this taxi squad, and at least for us it's a chance to kind of see it for the last time. 3-2. I think strike 3. What do you think?
I'd agree. Good pitch.
We know Akami is very capable of taking a close pitch even with 2 strikes on him, and that's what he did there. We'll call it a strikeout, 1 on, 1 out.
I love the walk-up moves for Davy Gurrion. Very catchy.
Talk about a guy built like a catcher.
Oh, he really is.
He can pack a wallop. Want to know the count? He hit a home run here, one of the very first swings we saw after the Red Sox claimed him off of waivers. It came against Nick Pivetta, his former Phillies teammate.
He's a good player. He's a very good offensive catcher. It's a head-scratching move by the Phillies would let him go.
I agreed. Good curveball.
I mean, their catching situation at the moment, they have JT Realmuto. So at the moment, it's great. But he is a pending free agent. So maybe they feel confident in their chances of re-signing him, but the depth behind him isn't all that great in the organization.
And Realmuto's been out for a week now. 2-1 the count on Davy Gurrion. Andrew Knapp has been catching every day in a very busy week for Philadelphia in the midst of a playoff race. Called up a 21-year-old. Kind of back him up, but I bet you this guy, Davy Gurrion, would be catching in the big leagues this week for the Phillies had they not let him go. Ouch. Well, that didn't feel good.
No, it doesn't. It was the point I made earlier about the hit-by-pitch on Casas. Gurrion's just not even going to take his base. Getting hit on the hands or down by the feet, and he got hit right on the toe, it looked like. That is not a pleasant spot to get hit.
I think he's deliberating whether or not he's going to go to first or not. 1 out in the inning, and they did move the runner up to second. And a ghost runner at first. Had a couple of runs scored today. They each came against the pitchers in the top of the innings. This is the bottom of our third. And Nick York gets another crack against the guy with big league time in Matt Hall. Took ball 1. He doubled off him last inning, and York, if you're keeping track, just joining us, has Batted 3 times this weekend in sim games, and they haven't gotten him out yet. It's 2-0.
Looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he?
I was going to say, Jim, if he gets on again, maybe he should just hang him up. Say, that's it. I was perfect. Batted 1,000. On base percentage, 1,000.
Well, he just shimmied his shoulders a little bit there. Looked comfortable taking that breaking ball, too. You saw him interacting with Jose Peraza and Cheater Downs when he was on second a couple innings ago. He just looks like he's fitting in nicely.
I don't know. It might be 3-0. I think it is. Without Bruce Crabb calling the balls and strikes, it does appear that they're letting the catchers do it. He walked him on 4 pitches. Nick York remains 1,000 in his on-base percentage.
Hang him up, kid.
Yep, that's it. Walk off into the sunset. Bases loaded, 1 out.
He's giving Jaren Duran a run for his money for Sim City MVP.
In all seriousness, I know it's funny to joke about, but what are the odds that a kid who's never faced pitching above the level of high school would come here and get on base 4 straight times?
And you said it yesterday. There have to be nerves. There have to be butterflies. But on the outside, he's not showing it.
Ball 1 on Chatham. Nope, not at all. And as you pointed out earlier when he was smiling at second base, it looks like he's having a grand old time.
He is. Good for him. 18-year-old kid.
This inning has gone single, strikeout, hit by pitch, walk, and now Chatham lines it into left center field. 1 run in. Billy McMillan waving in the ghost runner as well. He's having fun with it. 2 runs will score. C.J. Chatham drives home a pair with a lace shot into left center.
And he needed that, too. Chatham hasn't had a whole lot of hard contact over the last week or so. He had that opposite field double back on Wednesday that he was late on to hit off the end of the bat, but that time he really ripped that ball into the gap, and good for CJ.
First 2 runs against Matt Hall, by the way, Jim. If we were keeping score, it would be a 2-2 game all of a sudden. Hall versus the combination of Gonzalez and Blair. Pareda fouls it off. We are not keeping score. And York stopped at second base, by the way, on that hit by Chatham. Nick York is still ensconced in conversation. Now he's talking to Jose Peraza. Into center field. Duran. First went back, now coming in. York is trying to take an extra base, and he does, tagging up on that. It wasn't a deep fly ball. I think he surprised Jaren Duran a little bit. And we'll roll it over. That's the final pitch thrown by Matt Hall today. Well, he's got all the zeal of an 18-year-old. So why not tag up?
Really does.
1 more scheduled half inning today, and it's going to be Seth Blair. Presumably going back to the hill. Unless they're going to cut him to just the 1 inning, and then we'd be done.
Well, I see the coaching staff picking up their chairs from behind the backstop. That might be it.
You know, when you see our groundskeeper Matt McKinnon emerge, which he has, that's generally a telltale sign as well. Hey, Matt. Well, we're done. We tied. It was 2-2. 3 innings in the books here this afternoon. And actually, I want to start by talking about Steven Gonzalez as we recap the afternoon that was, Jim. I don't think Steven Gonzalez is going to throw a big league pitch for the Red Sox this year. There's just not enough time left, you would think, for that to become a reality. But over the last 3 weeks, since he's come back from his being waived, I don't think there's been a more impressive pitcher that we've seen here.
There's no question about it. I mean, you take a look at the guys who you think would be, Brian Mata, Jay Groom, they haven't pitched. We saw Mata the other day, but I think consistently over the last month or so, it has to be Gonzalez. And he's pitching with a whole lot of confidence right now. He almost looks like a totally different guy, Josh. I mean, again, you got to wonder what it was that just sparked inside of him, or, you know, what he found within himself during that layoff that he had after he was designated for assignment before coming back here. He just looks like a whole new guy. And that fastball, I mean, he found something with that fastball. We told you it's at 92 to 94 today. But with the swings he was inducing, it looked like it was 104.
It did. Yeah, they are not comfortable.
They are not at all. You mix it in with the curveball. He had a great curveball today, too. So that was a lethal weapon for him. And it was a great outing for sure.
And Nick York, two times up, a double, and a walk. Yesterday, he was on base each time that he batted, so they still haven't gotten the new kid out in his first 2 sim games played as a member of the taxi squad. Good stuff for him. Well, we're off tomorrow, and so as we are now into the final week of this alternate training site, we'll look forward to talking to you hopefully on Tuesday with another sim game. We'll see what the pitching looks like here. We'll see what the Red Sox decide to do. And I'm looking forward, Jim, to getting in front of a television. Right now it's going to be Tanner Houck facing the New York Yankees. And I bet you that everybody who's here in the clubhouses at McCoy Stadium, they can't wait to get in front of a TV and watch their buddy Tanner Houck do it.
Well, we told you, folks, this would be a great primer to the football and the Red Sox. And look at that. We got you done just in time.
Just in time. Thanks to Bill Wanless up here in the press box operating our one-man camera. We didn't miss Mike Antonellis one bit. Thanks, Jim. Jim did a great job punching up the camera shots. He was your analyst. I'm Josh Maurer, wishing you a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching. Off tomorrow. Hope to talk to you Tuesday. So long, everyone.